No matter what anyone says, children are precious in the eyes of the Lord. I know that there has been a recent, I guess, T word activist who has said that they want to be impregnated through a womb transplant for the very purpose of having the first deletion. I have to be careful with the words here. Deletion of a life through a T body. And this just shows you that there's a specific demonic agenda against children. And we know that the through the Bible, we know that there is the false deity Moloch that featured heavily in regards to this. So did Baal in child worship or child sacrifice in regards to worship. But it goes further than just the A word, than just abortion, than just deletion of a life. It goes further than that because it goes on to what we've seen recently come out in regards to trafficking and the new film Sound of Freedom. And this is the take that CNN have.
You have a lot of people who are in this world of QAnon who say, oh, they don't know what that is, they've never heard of it, they're just asking questions. With somebody like Jim Caviezel, he is openly embracing it, he's openly using its catchphrases and its concepts, he's speaking at QAnon conventions, and this film is being marketed to either specific QAnon believers or to people who believe all of the same tenets as QAnon.
The Sound of Freedom does focus on a real issue.
This is the craziness of the world right now, that whenever a film comes out bringing the true story of operations that rescued children from sexual trafficking, or I shouldn't have said that word because it gets flagged, but in truth, what happens with that is it gets slated by the media and it continues. In fact, even the BBC, they said, this is from their website, BBC said, Sound of Freedom, an unlikely and controversial summer movie hit. I don't understand where the controversy lies in this, or maybe I do, because we know that one of the tenets of an antichrist spirit, now not talking about the antichrist, the final antichrist that 1 John 2 talks about, but the spirit of antichrist is an attack upon the generations to come, is an attack upon innocent life, so to speak. And in fact, we're seeing this grow and more and more and more. In California, there was the law introduced, the HB 14 law, that has now been shut down by Democrats. In other words, they've reversed the course of this. The idea behind this law was that if someone was a partaker or an instigator or involved in the child sex T word, right? I have to be careful, like I said, with words, but if they were involved with that, there was a 3-strike rule being introduced under HB 14. Democrats refused to go along with this. They refused to vote. They refused to support this, which means that those involved in that can get lighter sentences. And this is kind of telling and really illuminating as to what age we're living in. The very fact that people would say, well, no, that's not a good thing to give a 3-strike rule where we can increase their sentences up to the term of life for partaking and being involved in this heinous, disgusting crime, then I don't know. We are definitely living in the days of Isaiah 5. In Isaiah 5, verse 20, it says, woe to them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. These are the days that we're living in. And you see this even more so. Like, we're watching a movie that is surpassing its box office expectations, is surpassing mainstream mega budgeted movies. As far as I know, it surpassed the Mission Impossible and Indiana Jones this week. And that's crazy. But at the same time, it shows you the heart of man isn't as wicked as the rulers in charge of man are trying to propagate, and specifically the spirit behind media. We shouldn't be surprised whenever the general populace supports the eradication of sexual or child sexual exploitation. We shouldn't be surprised about that. That should be the norm. But what we're seeing is the principalities and powers of the age trying to dictate and push us to a different narrative. This is similar to during the last, or during 2020, 2021, where we had a nudge unit in the government over, UK government, to try and persuade and nudge people away from a certain way of thinking to think according to a government dictate. Now, I don't know where you're at with this, but I find it very peculiar whenever I see news readers such as Mr. Edwards, who's came out that he was, whatever way, communicating in an inappropriate way with a 17-year-old boy. That is awful. But what I find even more upsetting is that there seems to be this growing narrative pushed by the media that he needs his job back. Oh, do you know what? He suffered enough. What about those of a minor, those of a developmental age who have suffered much, much more? This is a telling sign of the age in which the Antichrist spirit is running rampant, when the preciousness of children is pushed to the side in favor for selfish, debaucherous sin, licentious sin. You know, Psalm 127 in the ESV version says, "Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward." Yet what is happening nowadays? Nowadays, that heritage, that fruit, that gift of God is being trampled underfoot. Abortion on the rise, trafficking, the biggest industry that seems to have hit the world ever, really, 150 billion a year industry. And the exploitation, the hurt and the pain that these kids go through isn't just an instantaneous, right, they've went through it, that's it. No, this is something that carries on if they are lucky enough to live longer. This is something that carries on throughout the rest of their life and perpetuates different destruction into their lives. This is the plan and the strategy of the enemy against that generation. And where are the church? The church need to stand up and be counted in this. We need to stand in the gap in prayer, stand in the gap in action. We need to be supporting groups like Our Rescue from Tim Ballard, like Answers International with Troy Brewer. We need to be supporting groups like that. We need to be standing in the gap against those who think, do you know, the exploitation of those who can't defend themselves is a good thing. We should be standing as salt and light against that narrative. And I am just shocked right now by how the narrative seems to have swung so much to the other side, specifically with how the media portray things and how the media push things. And I just think that, do you know what? Jesus must be coming back very, very soon. And I pray every day that he is. Guys, God bless.